Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. And the worst kept secret, the biggest drama, arguably, of the year is officially confirmed, over, and revealed. Eddie Jones has been announced as the new Japanese head coach. And yeah, it brings to end a couple of months of speculation and a really, really poor, fiasco from Eddie Jones, to be perfectly honest. A situation which I think has left him with a lot of integrity floating around, to be honest. And the way he's gone about it, probably really not the best way. And unfortunately, I think he's going to lose a lot of respect, and arguably deservedly so. So let's go through the entire sort of cycle, shall we, of exactly what happened and why this is so significant. So first of all, Eddie Jones obviously joined Australia this year because he was sacked by England last year, joined Australia this year, and he signed a contract, supposed to be a 4-year contract that was going to be this World Cup, the British and Irish Lions Series, and the Home World Cup for Australia. And his entire plan for the 2023 World Cup was to build a team to give them exposure at the highest level with a view of winning the 2027 World Cup. And that's kind of the whole idea. It's why he left so many sort of key players behind, went with such an inexperienced squad, and they crashed out of the group stages. The worst cup, arguably, they've ever had. Now, during the World Cup, there was a story that said that he had a meeting with Japan Rugby, and that he interviewed for it during the World Cup, which he vehemently denied. He said that that he hadn't taken an interview. He's committed to Australia Rugby, and all he wanted to do was save Australia Rugby, basically, and sort of kept saying he's committed. For example, he's got a contract, yada yada yada. They then have the worst World Cup ever, basically, and he then parts way with Australia Rugby, and I think probably quite amicably, because of this whole sort of fiasco. The fact that he was apparently allegedly interviewing, he wasn't really in it. He had botched the World Cup, for example, and he was then seen in Japan over the last week or two, and it has officially been announced that he is the head coach. So what we do know is that he must have interviewed, and all those sort of stories were true. And the fact that he went out, he denied it, reflects really badly on him at the end of the day. To think that he was at a World Cup with a young squad that he had, really kind of hung up to dry almost, and was not going to be willing to stick behind them and try and sort of see the World Cup through, reflects really poorly on him. And I think, I don't think that his time in Australia Rugby was particularly good, but I think they've gone backwards. So I wouldn't go as far as to say he's ruined Australia Rugby, but he's put them in a much more dire situation than they were a year ago. So really has taken them back. There's not a lot of details with regards to the actual contract. The announcement is pretty short and concise, and says the Japan Rugby Football Union is delighted to announce the appointment of Eddie Jones as the new head coach of the Japan national team, the Brave Blossoms. Eddie Jones will officially commence his duties from the 1st of January 2024. It doesn't mention when his contract is officially up until. Now, in terms of why he wants to move to Japan, apparently the big thing is about going back and being with his wife. And when he did an interview, he told the Australian interview that he'd been living apart from my wife because she lives in Japan. He said, "I want to stay married. I think at 63, I don't want to get divorced," he said. But yeah, he had said before, actually, Eddie Jones, that if he had lost the World Cup this year, that he would, potentially step down. And then a couple of months later said that he was committed and he was going to sort of see them through to the next World Cup. So I think the biggest frustration and from Australia and just rugby people in general has been the denial, the lying, basically. They're saying one thing, doing another. And I must admit, as I said, from a Japan rugby point of view, I would be very hesitant about it, given the fact that he's just floating around so much and, going behind a lot of people's different backs, stuff like that. I don't think he ever really felt at home in Australia. I think that he got quite a lot of flack from there. I don't think he really felt settled. So I do think this is more comfortable for him. I think going back to Japan, where he had so much success, for example, where he was so loved. So I think he'll be happier at Japan, but I think the way he's conducted himself over the last 6 months is really quite poor. And I think Australian rugby fans can be very rightly aggrieved by the fact that he took them on a ride at the end of the day. The question is now, is it the right decision? And will it come good? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve. I'll chat to you soon.